Hello all, and welcome to this, and we'll talk a little bit about Randy Savage, as you just saw, and some Over the Limit. Randy Savage. I will be honest, Randy Savage is one of those guys that I've always really liked, but I didn't really know a lot about it, and I really don't know a lot about it, so I'm not going to come on here and pretend I do. If you really want some in-depth stuff, though, Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer did a show, which is for free. They've got it for free on their site. I'll put it in the description box, and you can check it out. And I've listened to most of it. I haven't listened to all of it, but it's a pretty good show. Really gets in depth. You really get a good idea of before he was in WWE, which I knew very little about, and then WWF, I should say, and then WCW and all of that. My impression of Randy Savage. Randy Savage was probably the first bad guy, the first heel, that I ever wanted to become a face. Not that I cheered for him. I didn't cheer for him until he became a face, but I wanted him to be a face. Jake Roberts is the first heel that I ever wanted to be, that I wanted to stay heel and I cheered for and always wanted him to beat up the good guy. And so that is probably his distinction. Of course, his match with Ricky Steamboat and that whole angle particularly, him driving the bell into into Steamboat's neck, and that whole thing. The stuff with George the Animal Steel, that's probably the earliest stuff I remember. And of course, he could work. His matches were always like the best matches on the show, and that always helped. Even when I was younger, that always really made it good. I can remember when he won the title and thinking that was a big deal. I can remember, when the Mega Powers exploded and thinking that was a big deal. And at that point, I think I was, even though Savage was heel, I wanted him to be the guy to, I didn't want Hogan to win. And pretty much all of that, and the stuff with Miss Elizabeth and the wedding and and all of that was, very influential in pro wrestling. It was all handled very well. It was when Vince McMahon was just busting stuff out. And then, he went to the announcer as an announcer, and then, of course, went to WCW. And, Vince didn't think he had stuff left in him, and he definitely did. I mean, particularly, the stuff he had with Savage, or with Flair, was really good. The stuff with DDP, I think, was really good. I mean, he was probably one of the older guys that, was making money, who could have phoned it in, that didn't really phone it in, and that's one thing I'll always remember about him. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, you've got the stuff with Elizabeth. You've got, the fact that, I'd always heard that he was somewhat, very kind of crazy, legit crazy and all of that. But, that's really all I can say. I mean, I think it's interesting. It's sad, but it's also interesting. It wasn't a typical death, and I'll be kind of honest here. When I first saw it, I was kind of like, huh? Because back when I first got on the internet, it was always, this guy, Goldberg or the Warrior or Hogan or whoever, always died in a car accident. So to see that he died in a car accident, not that it was funny, but it was kind of odd to me at the time, and didn't really believe it. And then I read and found out that, it really did happen. So, very sad state of affairs. I was glad to see WWE at least, do it in memory of before the pay-per-view. I do think because you're going to have a huge outpouring of just casual fans now who are going to think, okay, Randy Savage, why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? And either Vince is going to have to come up, hope that people forget, which I don't think they will, or just go ahead and put him in. He's not alive now. He's not going to be there. I guess you can bring in Lanny, but to, induct him, or to be there for him. So, or I mean, you could do the whole family. I mean, if you really wanted to. So there's that. But so there's my thoughts on that. Like I said, the link in the description has a much better, talk and all of this stuff. I mean, you forget that Randy Savage and they were talking about this. I didn't even think about it, and then it dawned on me that they were right. When Randy Savage went into WWE or WWF, he was. It wasn't like he was like just getting to his prime. He was pretty much at the kind of end of what you would consider his prime. He had a lot of great matches afterwards. I'm not saying that, but what you would traditionally consider a guy's prime, he was already kind of at the later stage of it. So that is something to remember about him. So with that, there is that. So let's get on with the pay-per-view review. Yeah, we have a pay-per-view review to go over. Not a very good pay-per-view, I will admit, but we did have an amazing match, and on it, in my opinion, just a wow match, in my opinion, and that helped this pay-per-view. Main event didn't help, but we'll get to that. Started off with Rey Mysterio versus R-Truth. Good match, good back and forth. R-Truth went over, which he should have, so thumbs up there. Then we got Wade Barrett versus Ezekiel Jackson. I actually didn't mind this match that much. I thought this was good. Or I shouldn't say good. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a good, basic wrestling match until we got to the end. And then that was horrible. I don't know why you said they didn't just have Jackson go over. You don't really need to protect Wade Barrett, I don't think. There's no need to protect Wade Barrett. If you needed to protect Wade Barrett, why would you have Wade Barrett and Ezekiel Jackson in a match together, in a feud together anyways? But it in the DQ was really sorely, horribly done. Just it came off as like, a match that you would see on Raw or SmackDown to build up to a better match, and you gave it on pay-per-view, and that's very sucky in my opinion. Then we got Sin Cara versus Chavo Guerrero. This was one that I was looking very forward to, and it didn't really disappoint up until the end. Chavo didn't get a lot of offense in, but I don't think you're at that point. I think that the idea was to put Sin Cara out there in a long pay-per-view match and see kind of how he does, so to speak. I thought he did pretty good up until the finish was botched. I don't know what they were going for, but they just kind of did their thing and then went for a pin, and it was over, and that kind of ruined it. But after that, it was a good match, and then I would say it was a good one-sided match, and then it just became kind of an okay match because of that. So there we go. Then we got oh, I forgot to mention that we got kind of an R-Truth segment to start off. It really didn't hurt, but at the same time, it was not really needed on this pay-per-view. He didn't say anything that he wouldn't normally say. Then we got Alberto Del Rio because, he's got to show up on the pay-per-view because they didn't book him on the pay-per-view for some unknown reason. They could have just had him go over somebody. I mean, this was kind of just stupid. And then we got Big Show and Kane kind of stopped Del Rio's segment, basically. And then we got Big Show and Kane versus CM Punk and Mason Ryan. This was not good stuff. It ended good. You had a little tribute to Macho Man in this match, but so there we go. It was probably as good as you were gonna get with Ryan and Kane and Show in there, but it wasn't anything noteworthy. Then we got the Brie Bella versus Kelly for the Divas title, and at this point you would think, yay, we're gonna get a Karma interference. We didn't. Went all the way. They even in the match they said, oh, the Karma wasn't there, and yeah, that kind of sucked, to be honest. I mean, why would you put this match on if Karma wasn't gonna be there? It's probably one of the best angles going right now in WWE, and they just sorry. Then we got awesomeness. Not gonna lie. We got Randy Orton versus Christian for the world title. This was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Was really into this. The crowd was into this. Everything was into this. The ending was really, really great. I actually think this was better than Triple H and Undertaker, in my opinion. Undertaker and Triple H had a lot of drama to it. This had some drama, but it also was a much better match. So, I would slightly put this over it, but really, really great stuff in my opinion. Just I would go out of your way to see this match, and that's how high I think this is. Then we got Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole, and what probably should have been the first match, the WrestleMania match. If they had done this at WrestleMania, this would have been really, really good. We got Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole for all of. We got Michael Cole trying to get out of the match, didn't work. Then we got Jerry Lawler basically just destroying Michael Cole in about 3 minutes. And then Eve Torres came. Jerry Lawler brought out Eve Torres. She did a moonsault to kind of get her revenge. And then Jim Ross came out, and Jim Ross dumped barbecue sauce all over Michael Cole. And then finally Bret Hart came out, and he put Michael Cole in the sharpshooter and made and Lawler stuck his foot into into Cole's mouth, which was really awesome. So I shouldn't say awesome, but this is what this should have been. It was, it was entertaining for what it was. This is what this match should have been the first time, but we're in the last time, but still. For a segment, it was good, but that was about it. Then we got John Cena versus The Miz. And I don't know who booked this, but whoever booked this, wow. Really? This is what you came up with? So, what we got here was The Miz started by saying that since this is a no DQ match, since it's an I Quit match, that means Alex Riley could interfere. So basically it became a 2-on-1 I Quit match, in which for the whole match, we got, them destroying Cena for at least 15 minutes, maybe even longer. I'm just destroying him, and then Super Cena showed up, attitude adjusted, Riley through a table, and then just without any, just put Miz in the STF, and he tapped. Crap is what this was. This was just long and drawn out, no need to be. I mean, there was elements of it that were kind of funny, but yeah, it wasn't what it should have been. It was just not good. Not good at all. The ending was just, they tried to pull off one of these cutesy endings where he had a cell phone with John Cena's voice kind of recorded on it, and that was the I Quit, and the ref found out that he didn't really say I quit, so he restarted the match, and just a lot of brutality, a lot of John Cena getting his ass kicked, but it amounted to nothing, and was pretty crappy, not gonna lie. This was probably about as bad, to me. I actually enjoyed this worse than the WrestleMania match, because I actually kind of enjoyed the WrestleMania match. I didn't enjoy this as much. I was just like, what the hell? It'd be different if, like, match started, they're both getting beat up, and then John Cena somehow does something to Alex Riley to where Alex Riley is, like, out of the match for the rest of the match, and then it's just The Miz versus John Cena. And that is what goes on for a while, and then it ends with John Cena going over. That'd been fine. But that's not what you did. You did this stupid ass, I don't know what this was, I don't know who thought this up. Whoever it was, just moronic, just not a good idea, just bad. Just bad is what this was. I would say the pay-per-view, just because of I will say this, I think the main event sucked. I'm not gonna lie. The main event sucked. You do have a must-see match on here, though. So, I'll give it a 7. That's probably overrating it because the main event was so... You know what? I'm not going to give it a 7. I'll give it a 6.75 because the main event was just so horrible. You had one, great, awesome match. You had 2 good matches on here. Everything else was just, just not good. I don't know why. I understand that John Cena and The Miz is the big match, I guess. But why wouldn't you put... Orton and Christian, because the way you had this set up, they were definitely given the chance to have a show-stealing match, and if you thought that Miz and Cena was going to be a worthy main event, I mean, this would have been fine if you would have switched those 2 matches, but you didn't, so, I'll say a 6.75, I'm like I said, it's worth seeing because of the Christian and, No, I'll give it a 7. I'll just give it a 7. It is worth seeing because of Christian and Orton. Also, you have a good opener, and Sin Cara and Sin Cara and Chavo was good. No, 6.75. I'm going to stick with 6.75 because that wasn't a good match. That was okay because of the ending. So there you go. Now I've decided. There, yeah. Anyways, enough of that. Anyways, with that, I'm out. Have a good one later.